Hey everybody, welcome back to another MR Academy math video for the second time actually that I'm recording this. The first time I got about 4 minutes into the video and my beautiful musical clock started going behind me, so I figured I better start over. But thank you for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate you checking out this channel. And as I'm going through our topic for today, if the spirit moves you to do so and you feel like you want to hit that subscribe button and find out more stuff about math and see more of the videos in the future, do hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate that as well. Or if you just like this video and you think that this video helped you at all, please do leave a like. Let me know that this is something that was helpful to you as well. So thank you for that. Thank you for stopping in. Today, we're going to be talking, once again, math, and we are going over the circumference of a circle today. We're going to be starting a little video series here talking about different things regarding circles. We're going to start nice and simple to start with. We're going to start with the circumference. We're going to go into area. That'll be the next video that I will make for you. And then we might start to get into some of the trickier stuff, talking about the 3D shapes. And those are going to be your cylinders, talking about the surface area, talking about the volume of a cylinder. We might get into spheres just a little bit. We'll kind of see how we are feeling once we get to that point. But the important thing to start with here, we're going to talk about the circumference of circles. We're going to talk about the area of circles. Today's video, just talking about circumference. Okay? What is it and how do we find it? So the circumference of a circle is just a fancy name for the distance around a circle. In the past, we've talked about polygons. We did a polygon video as well, and we discussed the difference between area and perimeter. Okay? Area is just the amount of space that's on the inside of a shape. And the perimeter of a polygon, which is just a shape, two-dimensional shape, that's got straight sides, it's got angles, it's got corners, all that business. The perimeter of that is just the distance around the outside. Okay? You measure how far it is around the outside of whatever shape you're talking about. It could be a triangle, could be a square, could be a rectangle, trapezoid, pentagon, whatever. This one is a little bit different just because of the name. It's the same idea. The circumference is just the perimeter around a circle. It's just the distance around a circle. That's all it is. Okay? Circumference is a fancy name for the perimeter of a circle. That's the only one that has a special name. All the other polygons, just perimeter. This one is circumference. That's the only difference. To find the circumference of a circle, though, we need to know some information. The other shapes, we could either, if it was a square, we know that all 4 sides are the same. So if one side was 4 inches, we know the rest of them are 4 inches. We could just add it up. But a circle's weird. And it's weird in a cool way. Okay? Because if we know the diameter, which is this thing right here, it is the distance from one side of the circle all the way through the center of the circle to the other side. Okay, it's all the way across the circle, but it has to cross through that center point, the exact middle of the circle. If we know that straight length, we can figure out the distance around that circle without measuring anything. It's pretty cool. So that's what we're going to do. So we need to know that diameter. That distance from one side of the circle through the center to the opposite side of the circle. We'll get into that, but sometimes they're not going to be quite as nice. Okay? Sometimes they might give us the diameter, but there are other times where they might just give us the radius. Radius is this thing right here. That is half of the diameter. The radius is from the center of the circle to any point on the outside of the circle. This is a radius. If I drew one from here to here, that would be a radius. If I drew one from here to here, that would be a radius. All of those are radii. Doesn't matter where you draw it to, as long as you start in the center and go to any point on the outside of the circle. So the radius is just half of whatever our diameter is. So if they give us our radius, what do we have to do to find the diameter? We just multiply it by 2. That's all there is to that one. It all depends on the information that we are given. Okay. So there's one other thing that we do need to know, and that is this thing right down here. And I'm going to circle it. It is also in purple. It's kind of hard to tell. But It's something called pi. And pi is spelled P-I. It's not like the kind of pie that you eat. It's not the food. It is a Greek letter that stands for a number. And pi is something that we use in circles all the time to find out different things. We use it to find the circumference. We use it to find the area. Maybe we know the area or the circumference. We use it to find the diameter or the radius. It's a number that never changes. It's the exact same number every time. We might just use different digits of it, but it's the same number every time. That's why we call it something called a constant, right here. A constant is just a number. It never changes. A number that it just is what it is. But pi, we also use this symbol right here. Now I'm going to draw it off to the side as well. I don't like the way that they have that pi symbol on Word. This is how I draw the pi symbol. We put a little curvy line on the top of it. You could just go straight across. That works too. I just don't like how they have it there. It kind of looks like 3/4 of a rectangle, and I don't like that. Either one of these makes it look much more like the pi that you're going to see in math class. Okay. But the number that we're going to use is 3.14. I'm not going to have you use all the other decimals because there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of other numbers that come after the decimal point in the actual whole pi. We're just going to use 3.14, or you might just use the pi symbol in your math class. Okay. Whatever you're going to be using, we're just going to try to keep it simple today. All right. So how do they get that? We're not going to dive too much into it, but if you divide the circumference of a circle by the diameter, does not matter what it is. You could have a circumference of 14. If you divide that by pi, it's going to give you the exact distance across that circle from one side through the center to the other. It's kind of cool. Check it out sometime if you get the chance, but we're going to go the opposite direction. Okay? We're just going to go in knowing that pi is about 3.14. We're just going to use that number. All right. So, formula that we're going to use to figure out the circumference of a circle is this right here. Circumference equals pi, our 3.14, times our diameter. That's it. If we know pi, which is 3.14, and we know our diameter, we just multiply those two numbers together, and we get the entire distance around that circle. That's all there is to it. Okay. In short, that's the exact same formula right there. All right. C equals pi times d, which is just our diameter. All right. So we're going to move this up here. Let's do an example of this. So let's say that the diameter, full distance across our circle, is 5 centimeters, just like this one. What would the circumference be? Well, let's figure that out. I'm going to plug in what I know. We do not know the circumference. We do know what pi is. We're just going to use 3.14. And we do know what our diameter is. We know it's 5. Now, roughly, just by looking at this, I know that I see, okay, we got a number that's very close to 3, and we have 5. It's going to be something right about 15, a little bit more than 15. Now, what this is exactly, that is a very good question. And I'm going to look that up right here as well. I'm going to get my calculator out. This is something where a calculator is not a bad thing to have handy. Okay? So I'm going to pull this up. We're going to say 3.14 times 5, pi times our diameter. That's going to give me exactly 15.7 centimeters. And that's my answer. All right. Now, why is it centimeters? Why is it not centimeters squared? Because just like perimeter, we talked about perimeter and other polygons, perimeter is just a one-dimensional thing. It's a line. That's all there is. There's not a length and a width to it like a shape. There's not a length, a width, and a height or a depth like a three-dimensional shape has. My nose itches a little bit. This is just a straight line, or in this case, a curved line. There is no length and width. It's just a line. Okay? That distance is just a line around the outside of that circle. That's why it is just centimeters. That's the only label we're going to put on it. All right. So 15.7 centimeters around that circle. That is our answer. That is our circumference. So let's jump into some other practice problems here. I've got 4 circles on here that we're going to use, and we are either given the diameter or the radius. We need to figure out what the circumference is given that information. If you would like to, and we're not going to do all 4 of these right here, I'm just going to pick a couple for us to do. But if you would like to, pause right now and work through a couple of these. Now would be a good time to do so. Otherwise, let's jump in and take a look. So first one, we have the entire distance across the circle. They tell us it's 8 millimeters. So let's just go ahead and fill out what we know. We do not know the circumference. That's what we're trying to solve. We do know pi, again, is 3.14. And we know that our diameter is 8. So once again, I am going to get out my fancy calculator here. I'm going to clear it, and we're going to say 3.14 times 8. We're left with 25.12, and then once again, I got to remember our label. And we're left with 25.12 millimeters. That is our circumference for that circle right there. All right. You know what? We've got time. Let's do all these. Yeah. This one, all the way across, we are given the diameter once again. 2.5 feet. So let's plug in what we know and what we don't know. C, we do not know yet. That's what we're solving for. 3.14 is pi. Our diameter is 2.5 feet. So this time we have a decimal times a decimal. Now, one thing I did not put up at the very top, we'll see if this is going to give us a kind of wacky decimal or not. But we're going to go 3.14 times 2.5. All right, this time we are good. So 7.85. If this would have given us a much longer decimal, we would have just rounded, which you can check out our video to that as well, rounding decimals. That's something else that I have on this channel as well. So do feel free to check that out. In this case, we're just going to keep the decimals on there. We know it's only 2 numbers after the decimal point. That's fine. Okay, 7.85 is our answer for that one. So that would be, if our distance across our circle was 2.5 feet, the distance around the outside of the circle would be 7.85 feet. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. All right. Let's move on to these bottom 2. 12 centimeters here. So I do not know the circumference. I do know that pi, we're using 3.14. Once again, that number is constant. It's not going to change. And 12 is our diameter. So 3.14 times 12. Once again, we get out our fancy handy-dandy calculator here. And we say 3.14 times 12. I know it's going to be somewhere around 36 or 37. And it is, in fact, 37.68 centimeters. Beautiful. Now this one, this is going to be a little tricky. We're going to change things up a little bit here because we have been given the diameter every time so far. This time we are given the radius, which tells me, hey, 3 inches, if we extend that out, that's another 3 inches, which tells me my diameter is 6 inches combined. Okay, we just double our radius, that gives me my diameter. Our circumference equals 3.14 times 6. That should be half of our answer from our last one, but just to make sure, we're going to say 3.14 times 6 is 18.84. And that one is inches this time. And there we are. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, what if I'm not given the circle? What if they just tell me the information here? I'm going to leave some of these up to you. You can do these if you would like. But what if, let's take a look at these 2 down here especially. Here's another couple practice problems just like we did up here if you would like. But what if we are given the circumference? Something a little different here. we have a little puzzle solving and a little problem solving we have to do. So let's do that. This time we know the C. So again, we're just going to plug in what we know. We're going to try to figure out what we don't know. 12.56. If I have 12.56 as my circumference, I still know that pi is 3.14, but I don't know what the diameter is. I have no idea what that is yet. So how do I figure that out? Well, this is something called algebra. If you've ever done algebra before, that's all we have to do, okay? We're just trying to solve for something that we don't know. So we're going to have to undo some things that are being done. So if we have multiplication right here, I'm multiplying 3.14 times our diameter. I want to get this D all by itself. I want to figure out what the diameter is. I don't know. I got to do some puzzle solving. So to undo this, I have to divide it all by 3.14. That's going to get rid of this, okay? 3.14 divided by 3.14 is 1. That's going to mean I don't have any other number over here now. I'm just left with 1 times D, or 1 times my diameter. But that tells me I also have to do that over here. So 3.14. What I do to one side of an equation, I have to do to the other. So if I take 12.56 divided by 3.14, that is going to get me exactly 4 inches. That's my diameter. And then if they ask me the radius as well, it's just half of that. That's just 2 inches. All right, that's not so bad. Okay, we would do the same deal over here. 47.1 millimeters. We know that is the circumference. They tell us that. We still know that pi is pi. It's still 3.14 no matter what. And we're trying to figure out what the diameter is. I divide both sides by 3.14. Gets rid of that. 3.14. And this one I could possibly do in my head, but I don't feel like it. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing here. We're going to say 47.1 divided by 3.14, and that is 15. Okay. 15 millimeters. That is our diameter. Half of that would just be 7.5 millimeters. All right. So we did dive a little deep in there. I gave you some challenge problems here at the end, but that's all you have to do. If you are given the diameter, multiply it by 3.14, you got the entire distance around that circle. If you are only given the circumference, got a little more work to do, but that's okay. Just a little algebra problem you can do there. Just undo what you're doing. If we're doing multiplication, we're going to undo that by dividing by the number instead of multiplying. And we get our diameter all by itself. And also, one other thing we did talk about is if you get the radius, just double that. Okay, the radius is halfway across the circle, diameter is the entire distance across. You're in business. Okay, double that radius, multiply it by pi, you're good to go. So, that is the circumference of circles. If you have any other videos that you want to shoot my way, feel free, reach out to the channel. Okay, send us a message. We would love to do some more recommendations. And again, if you enjoyed this video, if you did find it helpful, hit that like button for me. I truly appreciate that. And subscribe as well if you want to be notified of future videos that are coming up in the near future now that I do have more time this summer. We are going to jump into area of circles next time. So we're going to talk about all the space that's inside of a circle. Otherwise, we're going to keep on rolling with some circles and other geometry stuff in the coming videos. So thank you for watching. I truly, truly appreciate it. It's all of you that make this channel possible, and it's for you that I do all of these videos on this channel. So until next time, keep an open mind, keep that brain turning, keep it cranking, and never stop learning. Okay? If you can learn one brand new thing every day, you've had a very successful day. So thank you for watching, and until next time, I hope every single one of you will take care.